From now, I would like to present the topic of port connectivities in theory and practice with particular reference to Korea. The sixth part of the lecture is about the freight transport system. In the logistics system, transportation is the part that accounts for the largest cost along with the storage, and although there is a difference depending on the country and the cargo being transported, it is often known that the proportion is 40 to 50%. Transportation plays a key role in international trade under several perspectives, such as facilitates the international production and distribution, level market price and reduced inventory, facilitate lead time control, reconciliate trade-off between customer service and logistics cost, promote competition between regions. Ports are one of the most important infrastructures as they are responsible for promoting trade activities and supporting economic activities. As you can see in this diagram, port serves an important role as transportation hubs that facilitate goods movement, the distribution of freight, which including raw materials, parts, and finished consumer products, by all modes of transportation, including marine, air, rail, and truck. Multimodal transport or combined transport can be defined as the transportation of goods under a single contract, but performed with at least two different modes of transport. The combination can be sea and sea, sea and land, and sea and air. Each mode of transport has its own benefits. However, from a logistics point of view, the optimization of logistics, which reduce logistics cost and give customers the best satisfaction, is to transport cargo through multimodal transportation rather than relying on a single transportation mode. The picture shows three different components of port connectivities. There is a hinterland connectivity, foreland connectivity, and the gateway or hub port acting as a connector. A fundamental factor in the gateway or hub port is the global connectivity, which is the outcome of geographical factors, including location, sea depths, etc. The hinterland connectivity enables each gateway to access its market area via freight corridor and different modal split, including railroad and river barges. The foreland connectivity is the network which reflects the structures of international trade and its web of interaction. For example, how the port is connected with global air and maritime shipping networks. Let's have a look at port connectivities in theory and practice with particular reference to Korea. When we talked about maritime connectivity of ports, we need to mention the Liner Shipping Connectivity Index, which developed by UNCTAD. You can see that statistics by countries that can be retrieved from UNCTAD website. However, I would like to explain in more details how the liner shipping connectivity index was developed and what elements were considered to build it up. The liner shipping connectivity index, shortly called LSCI, aims at capturing the level of integration into the existing liner shipping networks by measuring liner shipping connectivity. The index is calculated based on 6 major components. Scheduled ship calls concern the numbers of ships that are calling on a weekly basis. These calls can either involve import, export, or transshipment activities. Deployed capacity. The total capacity of these services enables to link port calls with the related physical capacity. The higher the capacity, the greater the potential to trade on global markets. Number of shipping companies and the liner services. How many shipping companies are servicing the country or the port, as well as how many scheduled services they are using to provide this coverage. Average and the vessel size. The proxy to the available economies of scale, since they convey lower shipping cost per TEU. Directly connected ports. The number of ports that are directly connected to the reference port. This figure shows the world map. The yellow dots represent the ports liner shipping connectivity index. The bigger the dot is, the more connected that port is. As you can see, the most connected ports are located in Far East and Southeast Asia, Southern Europe and Northern Europe. Something interesting to note is that there is a very high concentrations of highly connected ports in specific world regions, and in particular Far East Asia and Europe. The same picture also shows that the countries' liner shipping connectivity index. Countries that have different colors, and the darker green country is shown. The more that country is connected. You can see there is again a big difference among world regions. The Far East, Western Europe, and the USA are highly connected, whilst developing countries are not so well connected. This indicated that developed countries are facilitated in international trade participation, whilst developing countries are facing more challenges, and in particular island nations. The table on your left shows how well connected is Korea with its top 10 partners. Korea is best connected by the sea with China with a score of 0.969, which for this figure the maximum is 1, followed by Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Japan, and Netherlands, Spain, Germany, UK, and Belgium. On the right, the figure shows that the liner shipping connectivity index from year 22 to year 2020. The index has constantly been growing since 2006, showing a constant improvement of the index over the years. This figure shows the liner shipping connectivity index for the top 5 Korean ports. On the top, in dark blue color, you can see that Busan is the most connected port by far. This is very important for Busan, as Busan is the major transshipment port in the Far East and needs to be very well connected to serve different markets and customers. This is a more detailed table showing the liner shipping connectivity index score for the major Korean ports in 4 quarters of year 2020. As you have already said, among Korean ports, Busan has the highest port liner shipping connectivity index for year 2020. The score from the first quarter to the fourth quarter of 2020 were 118, 116, 117, and 118. The second most connected port is Gwangyang, with a score of 60. So, as you see, there is a large gap between Busan port and the other Korean port. Also, at an international level, the port of Busan is ranking among the top connected port. As mentioned before, Busan port, which records the largest throughput in Korea, handled about 20.9 million TEU as of the end of year 2020. In Korea, about 92% of containers to and from Busan port were transported by road, 6% by coastal transport, and only 2% by rail. In other words, most containers in Korea are transported by road. This means, as a peninsular countries, the container transportation using rail has no or little price competitiveness due to the relatively small land size. However, the current poor utilization of coastal transportation is considered to be a matter for improvement. As Korea is a country bordering 2 seas and relatively good port facilities. However, let's take a look at how the Netherlands and Germany have developed the hinterland connectivity and how the modal split is distributed. I'm introducing 2 ports in which hinterland modal split is well distributed. Rotterdam is a major container port located in Northern Europe. The cargo traffic composition is approximately 65% for hinterland and 35% for transshipment. The hinterland modal split is distributed between road, which is 54%, inland waterway transport, which is 35%, and rail, which is 11%. This is important as rail and inland waterway combined represents nearly 46%, almost half of the container moving in and out of the port. The port is able to reduce congestion and emissions thanks to modal split distribution. Hamburg Port is also one of the major container ports in Europe. I'm showing this case because it is similar to Rotterdam in terms of shares of modal transport to the hinterland. Road represents only 40%, rail 51%, and the river barges 9%. So more than half of containers moving in and out of Hamburg are moved by rail and barges. This is not common for ports worldwide, as containers are mostly moved by road. Before looking at the peculiarity of modal transportation related to the port's hinterland connectivity, let's take a look at the flow of container handling within a container port. The figure illustrates that the unloading and loading process at a typical container terminal. Unloading process can be divided into three different sub-processes. When a ship arrives at the port, container cranes or quick cranes that take the imposed containers off the ship's hold or off the deck. Next, the containers are transferred from the container cranes to vehicles that travel between the ship and the stack. After a certain period, the containers are retrieved from the stack by crane and transported by vehicles to transportation modes like barges, deep sea ships, trucks, or trains. Both automated guided vehicle and straddle carriers move the containers from quayside to container yard. The difference of two equipment is that use automated guided vehicle is commonly used in the automated ports such as Rotterdam, Qingdao, etc. The most common use of a straddle carrier is in port terminals and intermodal yards, where they are used for stacking and moving ISO standard containers. During the container transfer within the yard storage stacking cranes and floor track container stacking cranes are frequently used. All major container ports have rail track within the port area and allow to transfer containers to their final inland destination. Containers movements by road is the most convenient method, and truck specification for 20-foot container is around 10 to 12 meters length, 4.5 meters height, and 3.5 meters width. The truck can also move the two 20-foot containers or one 40-foot container. Advantages of multimodal transportation using rail includes transport cost is relatively low and economical for long distance. Long distance mass and high speed transportation is possible and can avoid traffic congestions and not greatly affected by climate. In addition, it is an environment-friendly transport mode. However, disadvantages are also recognized as requires transshipment work and special equipment and door-to-door delivery service unavailable. Container transport through rail is either performed through trailer-on-flat car system or container-on-flat car system. For the TOFC system, a floor track container stacking crane or a reach stacking crane are needed to load container boxes into train.
Being the hub of Northeast Asia means being the center of unbounded passion. We move forward based on a high level of expertise and trust. Connecting Korea and the larger world more quickly than ever before. A center of world-class logistics and marine tourism. This is Incheon Port. Since the establishment of the Incheon Port Authority in 2005, Incheon Port has constantly expanded its facilities and services to become the second largest container port in Korea, leading the country's real economy. It has grown to become a hub of logistics and trade in Northeast Asia. Drawing on the success of Incheon New Port's container pier, where large container ships can berth, Incheon Port is expanding its container pier in order to become a high-tech, smart port. The South Port has both general and container dedicated piers, and will also host Smart Auto Valley, a used car export complex to be opened by 2025. The Inner Port is a multi-purpose port located in calm waters inside the Lock Gate, while the North Port is a comprehensive port for industrial commodities. With its designation as a cold chain special zone, the Incheon New Port Hinterland Complex will handle high value-added cargoes. An e-commerce cluster will be operated at Aam Logistics Complex 2 to make logistics more efficient at Incheon Port Hinterland. In response to the evolving needs of customers, we are using advanced ICT technology to enhance security and the accuracy of logistics information. We have also adopted Green New Deal initiatives which protect the sea and local environment, while also allowing Incheon Port to contribute to the national economy. As a gateway port to Seoul, Incheon Port is opening the door to a greater future. Rebirth as a marine tourism hub. The Incheon International Ferry Terminal is connected to 10 cities in northern China via car ferry routes to provide express logistics services and to serve as a bridge for tourists between Korea and China. The Incheon International Cruise Terminal is a hub for cruise tours, which are the heart of marine tourism. and Golden Harbor will be the center of global marine culture and tourism with shopping, leisure, resort, and entertainment facilities. We will open the door to a new era by becoming an economic engine and center of urban culture. We'll lead the Korean New Deal through port redevelopment and reach the world through the promising hinterland markets in Northeast Asia. The gateway to success and opportunity. We are Incheon Port.
As mentioned earlier, the biggest disadvantage of a train in multimodal transport is that they require equipment such as cranes. To improve this, a technology called dual mode trailer, such as bimodal, modular, and cargo dominant, has been developed, and some of them are currently being used, mainly in the US and Europe. Road railer is a trailer or semi-trailer that can be hauled on roads by a tractor unit and then by way of a fifth wheel coupling operates in a unit train on rail lines. You can check the principle of the road railer and what kind of a system it is in the following short video.
Equipment defect detector. Milepost 6.7. Track 1. CSX Equipment Defect Detector. Milepost 6.7. Track 1. No defects. No defects. Total axle 388. End of transmission.
Modal system uses a special railway wagons of a type known as piggyback wagons to carry standard load semi-trailers on the European rail network. Cargo Dominus has been in commercial use in Switzerland since 2002 as a method of horizontally loading and unloading containers or trailers. Double-stack rail transport is a form of intermodal freight transport in which railroad cars carry two layers of intermodal containers. Invented in the United States in 1984, it is now being used for nearly 70% of United States intermodal shipments. An inland container depot, or shortly dry port, refers to a complex logistics terminal and an inland container base equipped with the scale and facilities for connecting two or more modes of transport. The main objective of construction on ICD is to reduce logistics cost by collecting and transporting a large amount of cargo at once. While the demand for transportation of cargo is rapidly increasing, the logistics facilities are insufficient, and this caused the increasing of companies' logistics cost and weakening the national competitiveness. It was necessary to build an interconnected transport network that transports large quantities of small and frequent cargoes of various types. So, inland logistics bases such as ICDs were built at the nation's 5 major logistics hubs. Since the services of Uwang ICD started on the outskirts of Seoul, the capital of Korea, in 1993, a total of 5 ICDs for each region have been built, and 2 are currently under construction. This is the end of the presentation. We looked at administrative, organizational, and connectivity issues imposed from the Korean perspective. I hope this presentation will give you some benchmark points to be considered in your country's port development. Please do not hesitate to contact me at hsnap@kmou.ac.kr if you have any questions regarding this presentation. I hope you will enjoy the rest of the KOICA program. Finally, I wish to express my hope that those of you here and the people of Sri Lanka are healthy, well, and are overcoming this dreadful pandemic. And I hope that Sri Lankan will return to its vibrant pre-pandemic life as soon as possible. Thank you very much. 감사합니다.
The place where you pioneer the future seas and take on challenges while dreaming of making the world your stage. That plays the role of leading the new maritime era for maritime powers. A maritime university that is a strategic base. This is Korea Maritime and Ocean University. The Republic of Korea has infinite possibilities to grow as a maritime country. The driver that lead Korea to become a great maritime power for more than 70 years. At the center was the Korea Maritime and Ocean University.
한국해양대학교는 부산 그리고 한국에만 머물지 않습니다. 바다가 있는 곳이라면 세계 어디든 우리의 무대가 될 수 있죠. 더 큰 세계에서 활약하는 꿈, 이곳에서는 현실이 됩니다.
Korea Maritime and Ocean University is the chair university and secretariat for the Asia Maritime and Fisheries Universities Forum and is performing its role as a maritime leader. The result of multilaterally penetrating overseas and expanding international exchanges has resulted in the conclusion of exchange agreements with 122 well-known universities in 37 countries. Through the Global Training Project in the Maritime and Port Field, Campus Asia Aims and other projects, the university is involved in exchanges with other maritime countries and is roaming a broader maritime spectrum. The Korea Maritime and Ocean University will revamp itself as a global maritime hub.
바다의 자원이 무궁무진하다는 걸 누구나 잘 알고 있습니다. 하지만 아무나 도전할 수는 없습니다. 바다에 대해 잘 아는 전문가를 양성하는 곳이라 저는 한국해양대학교를 선택했습니다. 그리고 제 선택이 옳았다는 걸 다시 한번 확신하게 되었습니다.
The Korea Maritime and Ocean University has various maritime specialized and advanced facilities and equipment to cultivate experts in the maritime field, including the Hanbadaho ship and Hannadaho ship for providing hands-on learning for advanced marine technicians. Skilled maritime personnel are cultivated through the Marine Simulation Center that enables simulation training related to ships. Also, there is the VR room that can show ultra-large offshore plant structures in 3D video. The Industry and Academic ETRS Center, where various new technologies and advanced teaching methods are employed and other top facilities are used to conduct maritime education and research. Moreover, students can freely take part in discussions and learning in a cafe-type learning area. Thanks to the effort and training of maritime personnel, the Korea Maritime and Ocean University leading maritime education, research, policy, and culture in the Republic of Korea, and the university developing into a maritime specialized, comprehensive university recognized the world over.
신해양 시대를 선도하는 길라잡이 대학으로 해양 분야 핵심 브레인 양성을 위해 다양하고 전폭적인 지원을 하고 있습니다. 든든한 동문, 아낌없는 지원, 체계적인 학사과정, 모든 것이 준비되어 있는 해양 특성화의 메카, 여기는 한국해양대학교입니다.
Beyond the sea, the Korea Maritime and Ocean University encompasses a bigger world. The school manages specialized education and research for all fields, including the traditional maritime fields of ocean transport, shipbuilding, ports, and distribution, but also the fields of ocean engineering, ocean science, marine finance, and ocean leisure. Further, in step with the Fourth Industrial Revolution, the school is leading the future maritime industry with autonomous navigation, smart ships, and maritime future cities. The school takes the lead in cultivating maritime experts that think in an integrated way through specialized learning that integrates diverse study and links and converges them with the maritime field, such as humanities, society, science, and physical education. The place where there are leaders cultured in a global way. The place where there are personnel responsible for the future maritime industry. The comprehensive university with a global maritime specialization of the highest international standards. This is the Korea Maritime and Ocean University. Methodical maritime personnel are cultivated at 3 colleges: the College of Maritime Sciences, the College of Ocean Science and Engineering, and the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, and at 5 graduate schools: the Graduate School of General Studies, the Ocean Science and Technology School, the Graduate School of Maritime Industries, the Graduate School of Maritime Finance, the Graduate School of Global Logistics. The first maritime educational institution in Korea, the Korea Maritime and Ocean University, was restructured as a comprehensive university in 1992 and was positioned to be the cradle of learning that puts into practice integrated convergence education. The Korea Maritime and Ocean University has been unwavering for more than 70 years of leading Korea's maritime industry. At the center were 60,000 alumni. The alumni that are playing core roles around the world in the maritime field form a stable community.
오늘날 우리나라가 세계 10위권의 경제 대국이 되기까지 바다는 세계로 나아가는 커다란 무대였고, 여기에 한국해양대학교가 그 여정을 든든히 함께 해왔습니다. 제가 한국해양대학교에서 익힌 지식과 이를 기반으로 한 여러 경험들은 우리나라의 해양, 해운 항만 물류, 그리고 수산 분야 정부 정책을 맡고 있는 해양수산부 장관의 업무를 수행하는 데 큰 힘이 되고 있습니다.
한국해양대학은 저와 세계를 이어준 징검다리였습니다. 해양은 세계 무역과 지구촌 동반 성장의 무대이며 대한민국은 세계 해양 경제를 계속 이끌어 나갈 것입니다. 한국해양대학은 이러한 기대에 부응하는 글로벌 인재를 양성하는 세계적인 대학입니다. 앞으로도 지속 가능한 세계 해양 경제와 한국해양대학의 무궁한 발전을 기원합니다.
학창 시절 기억에 남는 일은 매일 아침 뛰었던 방파제와 한바다의 실습 항해입니다. 그때는 훈련이 정말 많아서인지 모든 일에 자신감이 있었습니다. 지금껏 해양 경찰로 근무하면서 바다에서 다양한 사건, 사고들을 많이 접했는데 학창 시절 배운 자신감으로 잘 헤쳐나온 것 같아서 늘 목에 대한 자부심과 감사하는 마음으로 근무하고 있습니다. 한국해대 사랑합니다.
그동안 저희 한국해양대학교가 배출한 약 7만 5천 명의 동문들이 여러 산업 분야에 진출해 있는데, 특히 해운 및 해양산업 분야에는 국내외를 불문하고 각 영역에서 눈부신 활약을 하여 업계의 발전은 물론 국가 발전에도 크게 기여하고 있습니다. 한국해양대학교는 우수한 해운 및 해양산업 관련 인재를 배출하는 최고의 요람임을 자부합니다.
우리 대학은 우수한 교수님의 교육을 바탕으로 직원들도 최상의 행정 서비스를 제공하기 위해 노력하고 있습니다. 학생이 재학 중 필요로 하는 다양한 요구들을 수용하여 학생 여러분의 미래 꿈을 이룰 수 있도록 지원을 아끼지 않을 것입니다. 세계 최고 수준의 글로벌 해양 특성화 종합대학에 걸맞은 행정 서비스를 제공하기 위해 앞으로 더 노력하겠습니다.
Having been selected by the Ministry of Education for a core project, the Korea Maritime and Ocean University is receiving solid support and will provide a high standard of education to students so that they can lead the future of Korea's maritime industry. The Korea Maritime and Ocean University is active in exchanges with excellent universities overseas and is developing global ocean leaders. Here, our global personnel dream big.
한국해양대학교는 최고의 해양 인재를 양성하여 우리나라가 해양 강국이 되는데 큰 역할을 하였습니다. 그러나 이에 그치지 않고 다양한 학문과 연계하여 융합적 사고를 갖춘 세계 최고의 글로벌 오션 리더를 양성하는 데 앞장서겠습니다. 한국해양대학교와 함께 하시기 바랍니다.
A vast sea. We are not afraid to venture out beyond Korea into the world. The Korea Maritime and Ocean University will be the compass and our dependable companion on the voyage of our life.